In this video, we're going to see how to find the equation of a line using just 2 points. So these are the two most common forms that we use for linear equations. And for this problem, if we wanted to try to find the standard form of the equation of our line, we would have to figure out A, B, and C. On the other hand, if we want to find out the slope-intercept form, we only have to figure out M and B. So that's definitely going to be the better option. So what are M and B anyways? M is going to be the slope and B is going to be the y-intercept. So we know that the slope is the rise over run, and the equation for that is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And if you don't remember that, you can see my video on how to find the slope using 2 points. So now we just need to plug in the coordinates that we have. Before I plug anything in, I always make a note of which point I'm going to make point 1 and which one I'm going to make point 2. That way I don't mix up any of my x's or y's. So now I'll go ahead and plug in my y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And simplifying that, 2 negatives becomes a positive, so 9 plus 6 over 2 plus 4, and that gives us 15 over 6. And we can see that both of these numbers are divisible by 3, so we can reduce this fraction. 15 divided by 3 is 5, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. And so this is going to be the slope. Now to find B, we just use the equation. Since we already know M, we know that for any point on the line, M is 5 over 2, and we just don't know B yet. So what we can do is plug in a point, x, y, and solve for B. So let's plug in the point 2, 9, which is one of the original points that we were given in the problem. So here's our equation, and I've plugged in the x and y coordinate of the point that I chose to plug in. And now we're going to simplify. So 9 equals, and this 5 over 2 times 2 is the same as 5 over 2 times 2 over 1. So writing it this way makes it a little easier. We can just multiply straight across. And so then that becomes 10 on the top and 2 on the bottom. And now to get B by itself, we're going to have to subtract 10 over 2 from both sides. And normally we would have to have a common denominator in order to subtract a fraction. However, we're lucky on this one because 10 over 2 is the same as 5. So we can subtract 5 from both sides of the equation. That cancels since 5 minus 5 is 0. And then on this side, 9 minus 5 equals 4. And all we're left with on this side of the equation is B. So we found that B equals 4. So the answer is y equals 5 over 2x plus 4. So let's check the answer by graphing the equation. So to graph this equation, we first plot the y-intercept, which is here. And then we apply the slope. So counting from the y-intercept, we go up 5. So that would be at y equals 9. and over 2. And we have a point there. And then since we're kind of at the boundary of our graph, we're going to go the opposite direction. So we'll go down 5, and so that would be to y equals -1, and then we'll go backwards 2 to -2, and we can probably do this once more, so down to -6, and backwards to -4. And we can see that this last point that we just plotted just happens to be one of the points that we were given in the problem. So that shows that everything matches up. So here's our line, and we can say that any point on this line should satisfy this equation. So what if we did just one more test to check our answer? We could take any point from this line. So let's say this point here. And it looks like that point is -3, -3.5. And if it turns out that we're a little bit off on the numbers of the coordinates of that point, then we'll find that when we plug it in, our equation will be almost true, but maybe a little bit off. So we'll see. So plugging in the x and y value. So we have -3.5 equals 5/2 times -3 plus 4. And since we have a fraction, we can always add a denominator of 1. It makes it easier to multiply this. So simplifying, we have -3.5, and then 5 times -3 on top, 2 times 1 on the bottom, and plus 4. In order to add this fraction and whole number, we're going to need a common denominator. So we're going to multiply the 4 by 2/2. That way we'll have denominator of 2 on both of these. And we're going to carry everything down. -15/2. And then our 4, and again we can add a denominator of 1 if we like. So 4 times 2 on the top, and then 2 times 1 on the bottom. Now these can be added. So -3.5 equals 8 minus 15, and that is -7/2. And -7/2, if we were to type that into a calculator, or you might be able to do it in your head, that is equal to -3.5. So now we've done a few things to check our answer, so we can say 100% that we got the right equation.